Welcome to the world of fisheries and aquaculture. From hatchery to harvest, watch how science and nature come together to produce premium quality fish. Let's uncover the basics of aquaculture and learn how to protect your stock. To get maximum information, watch this video till end without skipping any part. Let's see what is aquaculture. Aquaculture, culture of aquatic animals and plants in fresh, brackish and marine environments, is still used by many in a more restrictive sense. For some, it means aquatic culture other than fish farming or fish husbandry, whereas others understand it as aquatic farming other than mariculture. It is also sometimes used as a synonym for mariculture. However, the term aquaculture is sufficiently expressive and all-inclusive. It only needs a clarification that it does not include the culture of essentially terrestrial plants, as, for example, in hydroponics, or of basically terrestrial animals. The use of restrictive terms would probably be more appropriate in aquaculture, like the term used on the basis of the type of culture techniques or systems, e.g. pond culture, raceway culture, cage culture, pen culture, raft culture. Secondly, type of organism cultured, e.g. fish culture or fish husbandry, oyster, mussel, shrimp or seaweed culture. Thirdly, the environment in which the culture is done, e.g. fresh water, brackish water, salt water or marine aquaculture or mariculture. Fourthly, a specific character of the environment used for culture, e.g. cold water or warm water aquaculture, upland, lowland, inland, coastal, estuarine. While aquaculture is generally considered a part of fisheries science, there is now a tendency to denote the distinction between the two by using the term fisheries and aquaculture, because of some of the basic differences in development and management. Let's see the socio-economic basis of aquaculture. Man depended on hunting and gathering for subsistence until the Neolithic period. Fishing developed as part of this basic subsistence activity, but has witnessed considerable technological advances in modern times in methods of capture and utilization of aquatic products. Fish production from the sea increased at a rapid rate with the expansion of fishing fleets, development of efficient methods of fishing and improvements in processing and transportation of catches. Although new fishery resources were discovered, intensive fishing efforts began to show their effects on the resource base, and the increase in production, particularly of the more valuable products, has steadily declined. Overfishing and depletion of stocks have become a living reality, and the need to enhance or create new stocks by human intervention has begun to be recognized. Over the years, human societies have adopted forms of cultivation, pastoralism and ranching that were expected to stabilize production and bring it under greater human control. For various reasons, this type of evolution in the basic forms of food production has been too slow to occur in respect of living aquatic resources. Agriculture and animal husbandry probably developed from a need to adopt more productive means to feed increasing populations. In the case of fishery resources, the need to increase production was addressed by discovering new resources and by adopting more efficient methods of hunting and utilization. Further, unlike agricultural resources, common access rights prevailed in most situations. Conditions have, however, changed rather drastically in recent years. The methods so far widely adopted to obtain increased production are often proving to be counterproductive. Restrictions in access rights, brought about by the new laws of the sea, have affected the fishing industries of many nations like Japan. Increasing demands in foreign and domestic markets for some of the favored species like shrimps, salmons, eels, sea basses, sea breams and tunas, and their decline or lack of potential for expansion of natural production, have created a situation where adoption of methods of farming and ranching have become logical and inevitable. Since most forms of aquaculture, either land-based or in the sea, can be undertaken within national jurisdiction, there are fewer chances of international conflicts relating to rights and ownership in culture fisheries, except possibly in ranching operations. There are also other concurrent factors that have promoted enhanced attention to aquatic farming. One is the recognized need in many countries to achieve greater self-reliance in food production and greater balance of international trade. Saving or earning of foreign exchange has also become an inevitable need for economic development. Aquaculture has shown its potential to increase rural employment and improve the nutrition and income of rural populations, particularly in developing countries. The labor-intensive nature of certain types of farming and the opportunities for waste recycling and integration with crop and animal farming have made development agencies consider aquatic farming as particularly appropriate to developing areas. Aquatic farming is also of special significance in fish marketing strategies. Production can be organized according to market demand, in respect of quantity, preferred size, color, preservation, processing, etc. In many markets there is a special demand for fresh or chilled fish, and it may not be easy for the fishing industry to adequately satisfy such a demand. Harvesting from farms can be regulated to meet this demand and make the product available during off-seasons in order to maintain regular supplies. The species can be grown to the size most preferred by consumers when size restrictions have to be observed in capture fisheries. Biological and technological basis. The rationale of aquaculture is not limited merely to socio-economic and marketing advantages. There are also scientific principles that weigh very much in favor of aquatic farming of fish and shellfish. It is a relatively efficient means of producing animal protein which can compare very favorably with poultry, pork and beef in the economies of production when appropriate species and techniques are adopted. Poikilothermic, cold-blooded animals, especially fish, have relatively low energy requirements, as they do not spend any energy for the maintenance of a constant body temperature, and the energy spent for routine locomotory activity is normally low. Since the specific gravity of their bodies is nearly the same as that of the water they inhabit, loss of energy in supporting themselves is minimal. These advantages result in higher growth rates and greater production per unit area, taking full benefit of the three-dimensional nature of water bodies. Filter-feeding sessile shellfish, such as oysters and mussels, spend very little energy in obtaining their food. Fish are highest on the comparative list in terms of gross body weight gain and high in terms of protein gain per unit of feed intake. When fed balanced diets under favorable environmental conditions, the feed conversion ratio, wet weight gain per unit of dry feed intake, has been found to be in the range 1:1 to 1.5. The protein efficiency ratio, weight gain per unit of protein intake, is either equal to or higher than that for poultry and higher than for swine, sheep and steers. Fish are able to utilize high levels of protein in the diet, whereas in poultry almost one-half of the amino acids are deaminated and lost for protein synthesis. A weanling pig may lose as much as 2/3 of the amino acids through deamination. The absolute economics of a culture system depend very much on the species, production technology and market conditions. Basically, low trophic feeders can generally be raised at lower costs than those which are high in the food chain and which thus require a higher proportion of proteins, particularly animal proteins. However, the latter species usually fetch higher prices in the marketplace and compensate for the higher production costs. Aquaculture offers the option to produce low or high-cost products, and it is up to the farmer to decide which. However, it has to be remembered that many types of proteins that are not consumed by man can be upgraded through aquaculture to produce highly acceptable and well-relished products. Very often, waste products of capture fisheries and animal and crop farming form the main basis of aquaculture feeds. Also, much of present-day aquaculture is based on the natural fertility of soil and water, supplemented by organic or inorganic fertilizers and the plentiful energy of the sun. In certain situations, the application of aquaculture technologies is an inevitable necessity and not a matter of choice. The case in point is of species or populations that have been decimated by overfishing or environmental perturbations. Culture techniques have to be used to prevent the extinction of species that are ecologically or economically important to the environment. The diminishing salmon stocks in river systems of countries in the northern hemisphere and their slow rehabilitation through environmental improvements and repopulation with hatchery-produced smolts are probably a good example of the role of fish propagation. Similarly, recreational fisheries and aquaria are largely dependent on the application of culture techniques. Role in fishery management. The foregoing discussions have indicated the rationale for the increasing emphasis given to aquaculture in fishery development and management programs. While the current emphasis would appear to be in enhancing the production of high-valued species for export, its benefits in overall fishery management are also being slowly recognized. Export-oriented farming has clearly been responsible for attracting investment from the private sector and for starting several supporting industries like feed and equipment manufacture. Because of its possible role in improving foreign trade, governments in many countries are now offering incentives, including financial support, for the aquaculture sector. Industry and scientific institutions are devoting attention to research and development for the handling, preservation and presentation of aquaculture products. Even though the number of export products has increased, and the benefits of progress have trickled down to the production of other species, the need for diversification has come to be recognized by most enterprises. As already shown in several instances, especially in developing countries, the newly established supporting industries have already brought in overall economic and social gains to the communities concerned. Even now, the newly established supporting industries can be of benefit to other types of aquaculture as well. A major element in fishery management in many countries is to prevent any increase in, and possibly even reduce, fishing pressure in the intensively fished foreshore areas. Aquaculture would probably be the only means of maintaining the overall supplies if fishing restrictions affect the landings. Sizable increases in production through aquaculture under favorable conditions have already been achieved in several countries over the past decade, and the gap between capture fisheries production and requirement is expected to be bridged effectively. Reduction in fishing pressure in developing countries often involves the displacement of large numbers of small-scale fishermen who are unable to obtain a reasonable income even when unrestricted fishing is allowed. Many of these fishermen and their families are reluctant to leave their traditional homes and change to professions unrelated to fisheries. Efforts are therefore made in some areas to assist these surplus fishermen to become aquafarmers. According to some social scientists, the fisherman, who is essentially a hunter, looks down with some contempt on those who adopt land or coast-based production methods, devoid of the excitements of open water hunting and the prestige that is believed to go with it. However, in many areas of the world there are large numbers of part-time fishermen farmers. Further, the origins of some of the present-day aquaculture systems, such as cage culture, are to be found in the fishermen's practice of holding live fish for marketing. That, in course of time, led to fattening before sale and then to techniques of rearing from fingerlings or fry stages. Numerous oyster farmers and some of the present-day cage farmers of yellowtail, groupers and sea basses are former fishermen. Conflicts can arise between capture and culture fishery sectors, but with appropriate planning these two activities can be harmonized to provide an integrated development policy and program. Thanks for watching. Must comment in the comment section if you found this video helpful in your course of study. Like and share this video. Subscribe this channel to get more informative videos and to become part of a growing scientific community.